United States with the Mexico situation and how it ties in to the move towards the North American Union. And what I've discovered here, and the special guest, I haven't even announced this yet, that's going to be joining us in 1 hour from here. We'll call him David. That's not his name. And all of his information checked out. It's confirmed what I've gotten from other reporters in the area, what I've gotten from police in the area, what I've gotten from business owners in the area, what I've gotten from the Coast Guard in the area, what I've gotten from years of research and hundreds of news articles and sheriffs that I've interviewed here in South Texas on the Mexico border. Sheriffs I've interviewed on there. All of it confirms exactly what the Banff Canada SPP document showed from 2007 that we cover in my seminal film, In-Game Blueprint for Global Enslavement. So this is all coming up after the break. Then I will get into the Iran situation. I will get into the Obama embracing Occupy Wall Street publicly situation and a lot more.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com. Alex Jones here with vital information concerning our nation's fragile food supply. Folks, there are some truly dangerous trends forming, and I think it's important for my listeners to do 3 things right away. Number 1, study the past. History really does repeat itself. Number 2, learn to spot the dangerous food shortage trends. Number 3, take decisive action. A perfect storm is brewing for a global food crisis. That's why I'm telling everyone to read the new book, Rising Prices, Empty Shelves. Warning signs that trigger the deadliest famines in history. Don't get caught unprepared when the crisis hits. This book is only available at risingpricesemptyshelves.com. You'll also get a free copy of Supermarket Survival, How to Cut Your Grocery Bills in Half. Again, that website is risingpricesemptyshelves.com. That's risingpricesemptyshelves.com. Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As we're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
They have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really are calling the shots.
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as American citizens to pay attention.
Fall of the Republic identifies the enemies of our nation, the criminal offshore cartel, hell-bent on destroying sovereignty, and on its ashes constructing world government.
Tim Geithner, Bernanke, they're arsonists. They're asking for more matches. And the Congress is saying, who do we make the check out to?
Today, seems like nobody does care. And right now in Washington, D.C., we have seen a fall of the Republic.
Get your copy of Fall of the Republic on DVD at Infowars.com or watch it online right now in super high quality at prisonplanet.tv.
Eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. Are we gonna do what they say can't be done? We've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound, just watch no bandit run. Keep your foot hard on the pedal.
Okay, my friends, we are back live on this Monday edition, 2011. It is the 17th day of October, and we are going to be covering the most important issues affecting our planet, our republic, our country today. Now, I want to get right now into my investigation down here on the South Texas border with Mexico. I am just 2 miles from the Mexico border right now. I've been talking to locals. I've been tracking their local news. And we have a local who has a lot of inside sources joining us by the name of David. 30 minutes into the next hour. So about an hour from now, he will be joining us via phone. David is not his name. My friends, first I want to give you the big picture so you understand what's happening here in the United States and what's happening in Mexico and where all this is going. The CIA was set up by the wealthy robber baron families of Yale in 1947 out of the OSS. This is all part of mainline history. More than 90% of the leadership of the CIA and its directors in its first 30 or 40 years were Skull and Bones members. Not only were they from Yale, they were Skull and Bones members, and those families were all intermarried. Skull and Bones in the Encyclopedia Britannica was admittedly set up by the Russell Trust in 1832 with British East India money in a contract for the United States opium monopoly. In the old days, they were able to control the ships and control the routes because the British had a monopoly in India and in areas of southern China, and they'd use the drug war because China was stupid enough to make opium illegal to corrupt the police and slowly take over the different regions of China. By the 1830s, they just economically controlled it, not politically yet. And so they made a deal to set up an internal private intelligence agency at Skull and Bones through the old secret society model. Secret societies of old are just the intelligence agencies of old. And they set up the CIA. The CIA, of course, during World War II, funded a lot of its operations with the Corsican Mafia and the Italian and Sicilian Mafia, bringing drugs into Europe as well. So they've always worked with and controlled organized crime. They've used organized crime as their hitmen. When the Indochina fell, when the French lost control of Vietnam, known as Indochina at the time, in the 50s, U.S. personnel were sent in the late 50s as advisors. 4,000 plus died during the first years of that operation. And you were told on the news they died in plane crashes, car wrecks, or hitting their head, falling, in the shower. But they died, and that was later declassified over the opium. At that time, the majority of opium being manufactured and turned into heroin coming out of the Golden Triangle area, Laos, Cambodia, but regardless, through the coastline of Indochina, northern and southern Vietnam, and the Vietnam War, now just Vietnam today. Of course, as Americans got into cocaine in the 60s and 70s, the big banks publicly took over and set up monopolies in Central and South America, and the large central banks that laundered the money and were run by the CIA and controlled by those very private families also continued that monopoly. Now, and I'm simplifying this, but historically it's all on record. It came out in the 80s that the ingredients and the popularization and the recipe for crack cocaine was distributed by drug dealers in the employ of the CIA, who were instructed to launder the money in the billions a day, even in the 1980s, it was over $300 billion a year, into select Western banks, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, others, all on record. Federal Reserve banks going back into the 70s, constantly caught, filled with narcotics money in the tens of billions. Endless AP, Reuters articles. Any reporter listening and could just search Federal Reserve Bank launder drug money, and you'll see it, or Wachovia launder drug money, or Wells Fargo, or Bank of America, or Goldman Sachs, or J.P. Morgan. I mean, it just came out, as you know, last year that Wells Fargo and Wachovia, $370+ billion. They were running the aircraft, leasing the aircraft, CIA aircraft crashing in Mexico, 4 tons of pure cocaine coming from the source, on and on and on and on. And no U.S. government investigation, no Mexican government investigation over any of this. So you're saying, yes, Alex, we know that. Well, a lot of new listeners don't know this history. Why do they make drugs illegal? We have a gangster culture. For 9 years, we had prohibition in this country in the 20s. The crime rate more than tripled. Alcoholism more than tripled. The profits of organized crime, Jewish, WASP, Irish, Italian, and others, went up over 400%. It is estimated by historical books and congressional investigations that people like Lucky Luciano, people like Bugsy Siegel, people like Al Capone were making $100 million per week apiece. And that was in 1920s money. The Rockefellers were involved. Joe Kennedy controlled large portions of the operation. This is how America runs and operates. There was a U.S. government contract with a bottled water company out of Arkansas. This is all in Mainline History Center in Hot Springs, Arkansas. I still haven't done that news report with all the video footage I shot up there a month ago, but it's coming. Where the U.S. government on its trains would fill the big water bottles, the types that go on the water cooler. The types that, go there in the office. And in that was pure, clear moonshine shipped on U.S. government trains all over the country, quote, as the official water of the federal government. The G-men and others, the very one, J. Edgar Hoover, who told Congress in the 50s that it was a conspiracy theory, that's a quote, and that organized crime didn't exist. You can pull up the video clip online. You can pull up the news articles, because he was a cross-dresser, that they, homosexual, that they were blackmailing the entire time. That's why they hired him, saying there is no organized crime, while U.S. government trains were full of moonshine. This is how these people operate. Mountain Valley Springs, the company, if you want to look it up. By the way, it's a great water. We actually have it at the office ourselves, but it's not the moonshine type. So all of this is happening. This is a gangster, organized crime, hardcore bankster situation. The Kennedys, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Italian mafia. Now, by the 50s, and I'm getting to the new breaking stuff in Mexico here in a minute, but you got to know the past to know the present. By the 50s, the Italian mafia had become second most powerful to the WASP and Jewish mafia that were teamed up with the Irish as well. All of those mafias were bigger than the Italian mafia, but the Italian mafia had a war and started killing Jews, WASP, Irish, and others. So those groups teamed up with the news media and ran a propaganda blitz and said there is a mafia, but they only busted with the FBI and the state police. That famous meeting in the farmhouse of the La Cosa Nostra. And they said, okay, it's true. There is organized crime. It's Italians. And they basically wiped them out. The Italians have never been the same. They're little bitty compared to what they were. Before, they were at the New World Order table. They sent in a Rockefeller to take over Arkansas and shut down all the whore operations, all the gambling, except if it was Rockefeller. So they went in and took it over, mowed people down by the thousands, huge wars, state police sent in, Fed G-men who'd been running the drugs, running the liquor forever. Now, their drug war was needed because alcohol prohibition was over. People figured out it created war on the streets, crime, energized criminals, corrupted police, so they legalized alcohol again. Right at the same time, a year after, they criminalized narcotics, including marijuana, so that they have something new to go after. Now, let's move forward to the 21st century. We told you all this with Selica Still and others 6 years ago, Gary Webb before they killed him, Freeway Ricky Ross.